Hey guys, it's Ryan here with DP Marketing.Services. Thanks for tuning in. Also, I'm the author of the book on digital marketing for plumbing and HVAC contractors. Just throwing that out there. Thanks for tuning in. And yeah, if this is your first time here, welcome. This whole channel, we try to give just business and marketing advice to plumbing and HVAC contractors. We work with plumbing and HVAC contractors around the country. Our focus is helping them get more leads, get more exposure, run more calls, and just in all things, just be a more well-rounded business. So today we're going to talk about something that's a little bit techy, but if you've invested on digital marketing over the years, you've probably heard the term plumber SEO, HVAC SEO, SEO in general, and maybe even paid people to do it. Sorry, when you have a mustache that's this glorious, it gets into the coffee. So let's talk about SEO because there's a lot of misinformation. When you do SEO on a website, so SEO is the science by which you take a website and you try to increase its visibility on the search engines. It has nothing to do with AdWords. It has nothing to do with Google Maps. It has nothing to do with Facebook or Yelp. It has nothing to do with social. It's entirely the science and process by which Google, Bing, Yahoo, and others evaluate what's the most relevant site. So let's use an example, and I mention this to guys all the time. So let's go back in time to like 1995, and let's pretend you sold cookies. Search engines at the time. There was like Ask Jeeves, there was Yahoo. What they would do is count how many times you would say the word cookies on your website. So if you sold cookies, you would say, we have the best cookies anywhere. Our cookies are vanilla cookies and chocolate cookies and strawberry cookies and shortbread cookies, whatever, right? Cookies, cookies, cookies. And when a user would go on to Ask Jeeves or Yahoo and go, hey, I'm looking for cookies, what they would do is actually try to find the site who had that word the most times. So it would actually turn out to be like Yahoo would be like, that company uses the word cookies 600 times. This other company uses the word cookies 300 times. Obviously, that 600 cookie time company has better cookies. And so they would rank those businesses higher than the ones who used them less, right? Weird example. But that's kind of the basic premise. When Google came out in 1996, and by the way, there's a whole section on that in this book of kind of like how they changed the algorithm because it's changed everything. Their approach was a little bit different. They said they don't really care what you say about your cookies. They care what other people say about your cookies. And so they started this terminology of an idea called the backlink, which is a link on one website, like website A, back to website B, and that link between them is called the backlink. And that's how Google would rank, hey, obviously there's a lot of bakeries and there's a lot of wedding venue places having links back to your website talking about your cookies. They all like your cookies. So obviously you have good cookies. And that's how they would rank the sites. So where things currently stand is that with SEO, generally speaking, the actual algorithm is always changing, and we actually have a full list of the known variables that Google always attributes, and I'll put a link to that in the description below if you're curious to read, because it's over 100 variables that Google's assessing and measuring. About 30% of the weight, though, goes to things on the website. So it goes to making sure like your H1 headers, your H2 headers, your metadata, your titles, your descriptions, all those things are right. If you do all those things perfectly well, that gives you about 30% of the value. And generally speaking, about 70% of the work is going to come from these backlink signals. Now, there's backlinks by themselves, though, is this whole other subtopic. So it's this idea that all backlinks are not created equal, right? So using the cookie example, if I had my grandma who owns a pet store and she has a link to your thing about cookies, Google's like, why is this pet store linking about this cookies. That makes no sense. There's no relationship. What do they know? They don't care. And they discard the value of that link. If CNN comes and does a website or an article on you for the best cookies around, you won this contest or whatever, and all of a sudden CNN links about your cookies, Google's paying attention right there. So there are good backlinks, there are bad backlinks, there are ones that are more valuable, there's ones that aren't valuable. There is an idea of like negative backlinks that actually will hurt you or your competitors' rankings. It used to be a pretty common strategy in like the black hat SEO community. According to Google, they don't really bend to scammy sort of things. So if you try to spam your competitors with crappy links, Google seems like they just ignore them now. But the point is, we need to understand backlinks, because a lot of guys that we talk to say that they've paid for SEO work. They'll say that, hey, yeah, they paid this company and they could pay them $500 a month or $1,000 a month or $2,000 a month or $5,000 a month. Like, the number is kind of irrelevant. And then what we do, we have tools that we can actually go in and look to figure out, like, okay, what are the backlink profiles of this particular company? Where are the links coming from? How often are they coming? What's the quality of those links? And more times than not, there's a very, very poor backlink profile. One particular company we just actually spoke with last week, 2 weeks ago, something, was working with a very large, massive company who you probably know, and has paid them thousands of dollars a month for several years, and they had 6 backlinks that we could find. 6. Their competitors, on the other hand, had well over 600. So obviously in that case, Google is going to give preferential treatment and higher site rankings to the companies that have better quality backlinks and more quality backlinks than the guy who just has 6. So when you're talking about SEO, when you're thinking about SEO, when you're just trying to understand the strategy of SEO, understand some of it is technical on the website, right? There is technical nerd things there. There's time to first byte, there's all the metadata, there's schema markup. Those things have to be there. But there's also this whole world of backlinks, which is things that has nothing to do with your site that you also be mindful of. I can't say this is a general rule, but it does seem like that the larger organization that you hire, you think, hey, I'll work with so-and-so company because obviously they're a $100 million company, they've got to be doing good. It seems like at least in our experience, I don't know if this is entirely true, but the larger the company you're working with, the kind of, there's an inverse causality with the quality and quantity of links that they build out. And I think part of that's just their scale. Like, they don't have access to millions and millions of properties, to have millions and millions of quality of links that they're doing on a monthly basis for every company they work with. I think they have a very limited library. Whereas when you find like smaller teams, more niche teams, teams that are actually capable of creating partnerships with publishers and other sites, it's easier to get high volume and high quality links out. Just for context, so when we typically start off with a company, we try to drop about 67 to 100 what we call like big industry citations, and these are also considered aggregators. So there's like 4 main aggregators, which basically everyone else looks to. So once we get your company information in an aggregator, that aggregator feeds that same company information to all these other sites. So we try really hard to get those aggregators paying attention. And then we also do 67 to 100 other big sites that everyone looks to. And then for the next several months, we start building out these kind of local in your area or local in your like industry sort of links for you. So we try to find partnerships. Sorry, the video froze. So yeah, backlinks in your industry, backlinks in your town, in your kind of county, in your state. We try to find things that are contextual to help Google understand. And on average, we try to drop 40 to 50 a month after that initial sort of aggregators and citations. And we try keeping that going forward. And we also start looking for ways to have links that are kind of more complex, right? So those are all what we call like a tier 1 link. It's a link from website A to website B. But then there's also what we call a tier 2 link, which is a link to website A, that would say, hey, we have a link, we have a great link for you here, but now we need to create another sort of link coming into website A so that comes over here and feeds your site, so that we actually juice up and increase the authority of that link structure entirely. We also can do that with social profiles and things like that. But generally speaking, backlinks 9 times out of 10, when we talk to a company for the very first time and we start digging into their kind of backlink profile, that's where we see the largest gaps. And candidly speaking, there's a lot you can probably do if you're in a smaller market with building your website on GoDaddy Website Builder or using something like Wix. But those backlinks are really what's going to be the difference between your company being found on that first page of Google or your competitor being found on that first page of Google. That's honestly sometimes the most difficult part for just a small business person to do themselves, and where it makes sense to hire someone who's skilled in doing that, who knows how to measure that, and also who knows how to measure the health of those links. And if they see something coming in that doesn't look right or looks toxic, they take efforts to actually try to remove it. So anywho, I'll link that article about the kind of just the SEO with the on-page and the off-page SEO in the description. And also, seriously, grab the book, because there's this whole section on those sort of links and structures here. But I'd love to know what you think. Leave us a comment below. Follow us on Facebook. Subscribe to us on YouTube. I'd love to know what other videos you'd like to see, because we always try to keep these coming. So thanks for tuning in, guys. We'll see you next time.